Alright, what's up everybody? I'm back with another tier list. I know it's been quite a while since I have done a tier list. I really hadn't any good ideas. But I did come up with one because there's a lot of things that I like that I talk about on this channel. You know, NASCAR and sports, and I like talking about fucking a lot of things on this channel. But one thing I do like that I haven't talked about is my favorite TV show ever. Big Brother, yes, the reality TV show. You guys don't know what that is. You probably want to go watch this. Don't want to watch this video yet. But I was thinking for like what kind of videos I can do about the show that's not like getting too controversial. I don't want to get too deep into it because that's not my main focus. But I did want to touch on it, and I thought the best way to do it would be a tier list of all of the seasons. As you can see by the tab up here, listen people, alright, there's a tab up there, I don't know how to get rid of this, okay, OBS is stupid, and so you're just gonna have to live with it, but I did find one on Tier Maker. It includes all the seasons, Big Brothers 1 through 20, only 22, there's no fucking season 23, which is kind of bullshit, but, so I will touch on the new season 23, here in a little bit, here at the end of the video, but there's seasons 1 through 22 of the US version, including both All-Star seasons, the Celebrity Big Brothers, Big Brother Over the Top, as well as all 9 Canada seasons. However, I will not include the Canada seasons because I don't watch those seasons. I have watched both the Celebrity Big Brothers, so I will rank those. I did not watch Big Brother Over the Top, though I did really want to. And I did watch both All-Star seasons, and I have watched all the regular seasons, or at least know the main gist of them enough to rank them. I've done a lot of research into all the seasons so that I can give my full 100% ranking here. So let's move into it. I've seen every season from season 15 on, again, not including Canada or Over the Top, live. I've seen the other ones with my Paramount Plus subscription, and also watching them over YouTube and stuff. So let's begin and start with Big Brother 1. Now this season I'm gonna have to put in the F tier, and only because it's just so much different than the rest of the game, the rest of the real version of the game that's being played today. And this first season was mainly nothing other than to have this be a social experiment. It really didn't have a lot of game aspect to it. Not a lot of the players were very memorable. There were only a few, and those memorable players were evicted early on. And it really just didn't have the main premise of the game. But, I mean, it was a building block, so maybe I'll bump that up to E. Yeah, we'll bump it up to E. Mainly because it's just a building block, so I'm going to put it up there. But it's a very boring season, a very unwatchable season. It's one you really don't have to watch to even get the gist of the show. But if you want to watch it, go ahead. I mean, there's Chicken George, who's pretty much the most memorable character on that show. He got evicted early, but he would come back for a season we're going to talk about here in a minute. Let's move on to Big Brother 2, which many people consider the first real season of the show. And this one's going to go in the A tier. Dr. Will and the birth of Chilltown and all that great stuff. Kind of introducing the more modern Big Brother that we know today, or at least getting a lot closer to that. The only thing I have against this season is how slow it is, and also there's still a little bit of rust that they could show that they needed to, a few kinks that they still need to work out. But overall, I thought this was a really good season, a very good first season. It's much better, and also, you know, the birth of Chilltown. I mean, you had some controversial stuff like the fucking, I forget his name, I think it's Jason, the guy who got expelled because he was trying to kill somebody. You know, you don't want that. I mean, that's controversial. I don't want that. Bringing in the season, yeah, it was early, so. But overall, I really liked the season. It's good. Season 3, I'm also going to put in the A tier. This one was a little bit more faster paced and introduced the veto, and that's a pretty iconic moment for it, starting at the Danielle Reyes, really dominating the show. I just can't get over how she got robbed at the finale. Should have won the season. I can't get over how she got robbed at the finale and ended up losing the jury vote only because of her diary room sessions. Yet another kink that they needed to work out here. which they were able to adjust. Now the jury members can't watch the DR sessions for that reason. But overall, it was a very good season. A lot of good strategy, new gameplay aspects, the veto being introduced. A very iconic moment with the Marcellus eviction because of that. So that was a very good season in my opinion. Now, Big Brother 4, I'm going to have to move down to the C tier, and this might be a little bit controversial. I just can't get on some Season 4 and Season 5. I'm also going to put Season 5 in the C tier as well, because I just can't get behind these two seasons. There were some pretty memorable players in these seasons. I think they definitely helped fix out the kinks that, the Seasons 2 and 3 had, and they're not horrible seasons by any means. That's why they're in the C tier, but they're just... Overall, for me, they're pretty forgettable seasons. There was some action, there was some drama, and, you start to really get the footing for the show here, and overall, I thought they were not bad seasons. We're going to get some of the bad seasons here coming up a little bit later. This season, however, is one that it's not something that I can really remember and get behind outside of a few somewhat memorable players. And BB5 did have that twin twist, which was pretty awesome. I did like that. But... just overall can't get behind them. So now I'll move on to BB6, and this is going to be the first S tier season I'm going to put on here, just because of how wild and fucking action-packed this season was. So many fights and so much drama. Everybody's gunning for the win. Oh, the season's just magical. It's one of those early gems, really started to get into the beef of the seasons, and loved it. A lot of tension, a lot of drama, a lot of action. That's what you want out of a Big Brother season. A lot of hardcore game moves to really win this season. I recommend going and watch Big Brother 6 as much as you possibly can. Amazing season. Big Brother All-Stars. This one I've been debating which tier to put it in. I'm going to put it in S. Controversially, it could be an A. But this is Big Brother All-Stars, aka Big Brother 7. This is the first All-Star season. I didn't like the process of them, like how they were voted into the house. That one was a little bit tainted for me, I thought. But it worked. It's not the worst thing in the world by much. But again, this season had a lot tension and drama. It mainly brought out Chilltown into the more like the better version of Big Brother, the more modern version, and they were able to still dominate the game, and all these players, all these all-stars collaborating. It was a great thing to happen, and it was a travesty. It took fucking 14 years for another all-star season to happen, or 13 years for an all-star season to happen, but it finally did, and it was because of how great this season was. Just all these players coming together that you watched, and now they're individually, and then they come together and play the game. All-star seasons on Big Brother, they need to happen more often. Hopefully with better casting systems. Maybe they should go back to the fan votes so that we actually get good people on the show. But then again, they gotta pick the people and make sure they can come out and stuff, but whatever. Now Big Brother 8, and this is the legend of Evil Dick himself. I'm gonna put it in the A tier. Evil Dick was awesome. Okay, and him and Danielle were awesome, but the rest of the cast, you got to talk about the America's Player twist, because that really screwed over a lot of what could have happened in this season. And also, but there were some big blindsides, especially the Dustin blindside, and the whole dynamic trying Evil Dick and Danielle, as I said before, trying to run the game, and but then Amber, Jen, they're just characters that you really couldn't get behind. Other than Evil Dick and Danielle, there's really not many players that I could really get behind. Eric, I thought, was a really strong player. Got robbed because of the America's Player twist, which is another reason why it's an A tier. That twist was one of the worst and one of the highest effective in the Big Brother game. That's why it's going to go in A tier, though. Still a very good season. I recommend going and watching. I recommend going back and watching all of these seasons, except for probably season 1. But definitely go back and watch the rest of them. Season 9, though, Big Brother 9, I'm going to put in the F tier. And that's because the show is pretty forgettable because they want you to forget. They don't talk about season 9 because of all the controversy that the contestants had following the show. The winner got arrested and put in jail. Luckily, he's doing better now. So yeah, not too much to say about this scene. It did have some pretty crazy moments. And without the controversy, I'd probably put him the B tier, maybe the A tier. But no, it's going to have to go in F for me. Big Brother 10 is going to go in the S tier. I could argue that this is the greatest season in Big Brother history. I'm actually going to probably put it number 2 on my season. It's definitely top 2. Many people put it 1, some people put it 2. I personally this was a golden season for the show. There were no major twists, nothing, because it was rushed. So you really hope that the rushed product is not going to be, that horrible. But it turned out to be an actually really good season because there's no twists to affect the players. Players could play their own game, and they could really get involved. They were hardcore. Players were gunning for each other. There was drama. There was fights. You had a good mix of old and young players, which I think brought a lot of dynamic to the show. This was a good season. A lot of big fights, a lot of memorable fights, like Keisha's birthday. I think the very underrated fight was the one after Jesse got evicted. That was awesome. That's my all-time favorite Big Brother fight right there. So I totally recommend going and watching this season whenever you have the chance. BB11 I'm going to put down in the B tier. This was a pretty good season. There were a lot of big fights, a lot of drama. The Shima eviction, there was a lot of stuff like that. The coup d'etat was it's like the America's Player twist. This season, however, I think it's just a little bit less forgettable. And Jordan and Jeff were a good couple. But I think without the coup d'etat, they don't go nearly as far as they actually did. Some of the other characters, they're a little bit whiny, a little bit forgettable, and a little bit overly dramatic, I thought, in my opinion. It's still a pretty solid season. The B tier is a pretty good ranking for it, I think. But I can't put it on the same level as 2, 3, 8, and definitely not 6, 7, and 10. But I can see it putting above it 4 and 5. So I think B tier is a good position for it. BB12, I'm also going to put in the B tier. This season I did actually started watching partially around BB12. I didn't really get involved to it until about BB15, but from about BB12 to BB14, I actually started kind of watching the season, so I have memories of watching this season. Rachel and Brendan, they ran really hardcore, and they were definitely a very dominant duo. The Brigade, I thought, was an amazing alliance. I'm actually going to bump this up to A tier. The Brigade, I thought, was an amazing alliance, and a lot of good players, and a lot of good tension and drama during the season. But just personally, for me, I don't think it's good enough to be S tier. Though it is still a very solid season. I'm going to actually put it up to A tier. It's not on the same level as BB11 now. Come on, people. What was I even fucking thinking putting it there? So, put it up there in the A tier. And that's actually BB13 I'm going to put in B tier. This season was screwed over by the veterans. Especially with Evil Dick leaving like 2 days in, which I thought was bullshit. He touched HIV positive for sure, and he should have known about it, but it didn't make him have to leave the game, unless that was a personal decision he made. But I think the veterans really screwed over this season. The newbies really never even had a chance here. Once the veterans walked in, and plus they got so many twists in their favor, like the Pandora's box and all that other bullcrap. Definitely a lot of good dynamics in this season to watch. A lot of good players, but the newbies just got completely screwed over, and that really tainted the season. It's on the same level as BB11 for me, hence why I put it on the same tier. Now we get into some good ones. BB14. This is the other season that people put in their top 2, and honestly, that's a pretty good position for BB14 and BB10 because of Dan. Dan, the Michigan man. Oh my God, he is the greatest player in history. Maybe I'll do a players rankings as well. I could totally do a players rankings. I'm gonna do that probably, but man. Dan's funeral puts this one at S tier alone. I put him in the top season in the show's history. That is, and there's a lot of other great game plays as well. I think Ian was a very good winner. Was he the best winner? Was he a deserving winner in this season? No, Dan got robbed. But that's not going to make me put it any lower. The bitter jury, though, I think that would help separate it from BB10, have BB10 go higher, because Dan definitely deserved to win the season. Ian played a very good game, and he was really getting that nerdy stereotype and avenging and showing, yeah, we can win the game too. And Frank in there, he was pretty good. Brittany played a very good game. I thought Janelle and Boogie were pretty forgettable, especially once Boogie was in as a player. He really didn't do much, which kind of sucked. I kind of want to see more out of him, being his last season. And there were some other good characters in here as well, but there's also some very forgettable characters. Jen and Joe, especially two most irrelevant Big Brother players ever, both making it to the final six. I thought that was pretty stupid. There's some amazing blindsides as well. I mean, Dayton's funeral was one of them. The Shane blindside, aka top blindside ever. And again, all orchestrated by Big Dan himself. BB15 is going to be another controversial one. I'm putting this one in the S tier, though. Just because this is the first season I did watch full, and I did actually like pay attention to and really analyze when I was watching it live. Now, looking back on it, there was some racism moments, especially with Aaron and Gina Marie and all of them, and that tainted the season for sure. But you take that away, there was some extremely hardcore gameplay going on here. Everybody seemed like they were in it for themselves. There's really nobody even floating to the end except maybe Spencer. That would probably be like the only one. Everybody was trying to win competitions, and everybody's making big moves. And this was also the last old school BB season. And Andy, I thought, was an amazing winner, extremely underrated winner. He played a very low-key game, and it got him to the end. There's a lot of big names, a lot of big fights. A lot of people try and forget this season, a lot like BB9, because of the racism that did happen on the show, and that's horrible. And those people got outed for it. The ones that did actually have it, actually cause it, got it in for them, got exposed, and everything like that. So, but I still put it in the S tier just because of a little bit of nostalgia, but also because it was an amazing season, and a lot of people forget about it. BB16 is gonna go in the S8, not the S, the A tier. Derek, another top level player, definitely one of the best players of all time. However, I think the second half of this season was pretty bad. What the fuck was that? Oh my god, hold on. There we go. BB16 was, the second half of the season was pretty forgettable. All the exciting players like Zach was a really amazing player. All the really exciting players left. Derek was not a very enthusiastic player. He was very much game focused, okay? And that's a good thing for his ratings and his player mentality and stuff like that. But it made for a pretty boring end of the season. It was pretty predictable. Come about the final 9 or 8, who was going to win the game? It was going to be Derek unless something major happened. And it just wasn't going to happen. Cody was winning all the competitions, and he was never going to get Derek out. And yeah, that's why I put it down in the A tier. Because I really didn't like the second half of the season. The first half was awesome. Second half, a little bit but it's still good enough for an A tier ranking. Because it was still a pretty solid season. BB17, this is a tough one. A or B for me. I'm going to put it in the A tier. This season for me, I love Vanessa's gameplay, and there's some huge blindsides. Steve, again, another amazing nerd winner. The Twin Twist came back. That was pretty cool. I think there's such a long season, too, because it had a record number of house guests. There were 17 different house guests this season, the largest number ever. There's lots of couples, and there was the Battle of the Block, though, is another reason why I put like these middle of the ground season 16. The thing is like 18 when the Battle of the Block ended. Yeah, Battle of the Block ended about season 18 or 17. These couple of seasons why I put it there, because I didn't like the Battle of the Block at all. I think it sucked, which is another reason. But it is a solid season, and I think it was just not. I don't think people saw it as high as because it was in between 16 and 18, which a lot of people see as higher seasons. But moving on to 18, I'm gonna put 18 in the B tier, guys. I'm not really high on this season. I didn't really enjoy it as much as other people did, I think, because, I don't know, it just never really got on me. 2016 was an off year for me, so that's probably why. I did like Nicole. I did like Nicole winning. Paul, I thought, played a pretty good game. I liked seeing James come back, even though he didn't really do anything. That kind of made me annoyed. Frank was kind of irrelevant because he was under controversy. Davon. Again, she came back, which I thought was a little bit weird, seeing she was a week 2 evictee. But whatever. She made it to jury at least. And there was some good fights and controversies and stuff as well. Overall, a pretty solid season, but I can't put it any higher than the B tier. So now I'll put on BB19. And this is not... I'm going to put it in the D tier. Because it was pretty much follow Paul or get evicted kind of thing in the season. Paul coming back really changed the dynamic of the season because he pretty much just controlled the game, except for Cody and Jess, who were both evicted 12th and 11th. But other than that, I mean, Josh was hilarious, but my God, was he annoying to watch on a daily basis. I can't believe he won the game. That was insane. But BB19, it's another season that people try and forget. It's one of the seasons that are ranked a little bit lower. Honestly, though, D tier I think is a good position for it for me because it wasn't all bad. But it definitely is not on the level of these other seasons. So we'll move on to Big Brother 20. Big Brother 20 I'm going to put in the A tier. I consider putting this one in the B tier. But honestly, I think this is one of the, other than season 16, I think this is like up there at 16 for like one of the best new school seasons. Because you guys know it's like the eras of Big Brother, right? There was like the old school, which is kind of like BB2 through 15, and then the new school, like season 16 on now. Like the game, the aura of the game completely changed between now and then. And BB20 is another example of that. Being a good season, there's a lot of strong players. I really wanted Tyler to win. He played by far the best game. I hated GC though. Really, really annoying player. So I was glad to see him not make it to the final two. And also, I mean, there's just a lot of great players, a lot of great fights. Rockstar was weird for sure. Brett was pretty funny. But overall, a pretty strong season. I like this season. And that's why it's going in the A tier. Season 21, I'm going to put in the E. I'm going to put an F. No, I'm going to put an E. A lot of racist stuff, but unlike BB15, this was more not as strong gameplay from a lot of people. I think Mickey was a pretty deserving winner. He won a lot of comps, and he made some pretty strategic moves down at the end of the game. But definitely is pretty irrelevant now because, you know, it's pretty racist. I like Cliff. I like Nicole. I liked a few of the other players. The Camp BB thing, I wasn't too high on that. But other than, I mean, it's just not one of my favorite seasons. It's one that I really just didn't like from the beginning. And it's one that I'm glad is over. And I'm going to put it down at the E tier. People don't forget about it. There are players that are still talked about. That's why it's not going down in the F tier. But E tier is definitely the highest that I can put it. Alright, so let's do All-Stars 2 next. To finish off the main 22. And then we'll do the Celebrity Big Brothers. And then I'll rank BB23 at the end. BB22 or BB All-Stars 2 is going to go in the D tier as well. This game was a lot like BB19, just follow Cody or get evicted. And all the players at the beginning, Keisha, Janelle, Casey, pretty much all the old school players other than Danielle Donato were evicted pretty early on in the game. And that may just be a testament to old school players not being able to play the new school game. But I mean, they were targeted just because they were old school players. I mean, Janelle has been very irrelevant since BB4, since her last All-Star season. K-Star, they never really got a chance, and it was just follow Cody or get evicted. I was so horrible because I knew Cody was going to win the game. He was winning all the competitions. Nobody was going to take a shot at him. And he never touched the block. So I had to put this one on E tier, just because it was D tier. I mean, it was just super, super dumb. We waited that long for an All-Star season during a pandemic. We got the All-Star season, and this is the product that we got. It's kind of another letdown for 2020. And All-Stars 3, I definitely think they're going to do it, and I think they definitely, without the pandemic, will be able to get a better cast. Because I heard Dan and Derek were supposed to come back, but they made a pregame alliance, and that's how Nicole got on. Nicole was very annoying. I'm surprised. Stupid she got that far. But I didn't like the season at all. To wrap it up, guys. Now, Celebrity Big Brother and Celebrity Big Brother 2, I'm going to put them in the same tier because I think they're both about C tier. These seasons are pretty forgettable for me. A lot of the celebrities are either outdated or irrelevant completely. And I get that they're not going to be able to bring in Ariana Grande, okay? But they're going to have to... There's some celebrities that I remember, and some like former NFL players or whatever. But with it being a shortened season, and they're not really fighting for the money as much because they already have money. I don't know. I'm not too high on these Celebrity Big Brother seasons. They give a little bit of this game to watch in the wintertime, but I'm not a fan. Not for me. Not for me at all. They're both going in the C tier because they're not horrible seasons. I know people would like them just to watch celebrities play the game, and they are up to provide some pretty good moments. I definitely think the first one was slightly better than the second one, but I think they're both deserving of the same tier, so that's why they're going there. And now, I'm not going to do BB Over the Top or the Canada seasons, but however, BB 23, this is going to be another controversial one. This season made history, but I think it was all fabricated by CBS. And we can go on a whole thing about that. I'm not going to here, but it's going to go in the D tier for me as well. It was Follow the Cookout. It was all Cookout. Cookout got rigged for it, I think. And we can talk about that in a different video, even though I probably won't. But there you go, folks. Let's read off the tiers. We got 5 in the S, 7 in the A, 3 in the B, 4 C, 3D, 2 in the E, and 1 in the F tier. So there you go, guys. That is my season ranking. How would your season's rankings look? And do you guys, anybody who watches Big Brother Canada or BB Over the Top? I do got to get watching Big Brother Over the Top if it is on Paramount Plus, but I don't know if it is. If it is, I'm going to do it, but I'm going to watch it and put it somewhere in here. But if it isn't, that's okay. But to comment your rankings down below, guys, and I will catch you guys in the next tier list. If you want me to do more Big Brother content, comment down below what you want me to do, and I will try and get it done. I have another video that I already came up with while making this one that I will try and do. So, until next time, everybody, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.